Welcome to Key Conversations, the podcast where we talk about all things that can help you level up your music career. This season, we are doing the 12 days of Amplify leading up to the holidays, highlighting successes of independent musicians that are part of the monthly mastermind Amplify. I hope you enjoy, and if you're a musician interested in joining, head to inthekey.co/amplify. Let's get started. We are back with another day 11. There's 2 days in a day these days. Day 11 of the 12 days of Amplify, and we are here with Mariana Tirsa of Runaway Horse. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Tell us where in the world you are. I always like to know.
I live in Austin, Texas.
Amazing.
Beautiful city.
Yeah, I love Austin. I miss traveling there. That's where I would go for all the conferences and South by and, all that stuff. But
that's a very, very creative city.
Yeah. So tell me, what's been going on for you this year?
So this year was a really important year for me to get a lot of music that I had been holding kind of very carefully, not knowing how to get it started into the world. And this year was the year of really beginning my sharing of my music that I had recorded over the last 4 years. And so I launched my first single and my first video that I've ever created. So it was a big year for me on that level, because I'd been waiting for a couple of years to figure out how to do it and what to do.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, you sort of started to answer that. What had you say, okay, now's the time to not wait anymore?
I had released an EP back in 2013. And I really, it was good. I mean, I enjoyed the process, and I had a little bit of, what I felt was validation for the music. But I didn't really know how to promote it beyond just that tiny little sharing that I did. And so I had made a commitment to myself that the next music I did and that was ready to release, that I wanted to give it what I felt like it deserved. And so I didn't feel like I was ready, because I was really overwhelmed and confused with the marketing and how to pitch it and how to get it out there. So I spent a couple of years kind of just studying and trying to figure out what to do. And so I just didn't feel like I knew what to do and confidently. And that was until I came into Amplify. And then I started feeling like, okay, I think I'm seeing the roadmap and I have the support system, because it wasn't just about like what to do. It was also about the support.
Yeah, I love that you were willing to like take the time to be like, okay, I'm just going to learn how to do this. And then when you got that support, that combination, that was like the magical recipe to be like, it's go time. So I like that distinction, that it's not just learning all the things, because knowledge is great, but then it's like how to put it into action, how to overcome the fears and the overwhelm and all the stuff that shows up. And that's pieces, the support and the confidence and the great feedback and all that other stuff. So I like that you kind of figured out the magic formula, and then we're able to, you release something this year, right? Mm-hmm. What's your genre? What's your genre and where can we hear it?
All right. So my genre is like an intersection of two different styles. It's like Americana folk, alt country, that whole area, with this ethereal dream, new agey kind of vibe.
Cool. We got some vibey folk Americana going on here. And what's the link that we're sending people to? Might as well get right to that.
Yes. Can I put it in the chat here, or
just tell it to me, because some people are just listening. So
yeah,
I'm going to type it in. So
yeah, I spend most of my time on Instagram, and so you can find me as Runaway Horse Music.
We are going to Instagram.com, Runaway Horse, not house, horse. I'm typing in music, Runaway Horse Music on Instagram. So is that a band name, or is that the front for your solo artist project? What is Runaway Horse exactly to you?
Well, it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to be as an artist. I think I realized at a certain point early on when I was starting my first record that I love collaborating, and that for me, music is a collaborative experience. And so even though I'm a singer-songwriter, I just felt like having a name that was beyond just myself was how I wanted to go. So there was a group of musicians I was playing with, and I came up with that name, and everyone was happy with it. We recorded 2 albums, and then they kind of just went off in their own directions. And I just decided I'm going to keep Runaway Horse, and I will just collaborate with some of those same people or other people. And so I'm kind of the shepherd of Runaway Horse music, and it is my original music, my songs.
I love that. So. Yeah, I love that. It's kind of like the umbrella of any future collaborations. That's really cool. Yeah, I kind of by default had to create a choir in order to submit this recording. And it was like a virtual recording from people from a bunch of different choirs. And they're like, what choir are you from? You need to name it. And so I was like, I guess I'll call it the listening choir. That was the name of the piece, the listening. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, oh, that kind of works for anything. Like people in choirs should be listening. So kind of the umbrella. And I love how that kind of feels organic and happened. Same thing with you for Runaway Horse. So love this. So Wanda says lovely. And then Mike says he likes lush indie folk Americana out of Austin, Texas. And he's here to support a pup mate. We've got another pup mates here. And Wanda says that she loves the shepherd of Runaway Horse, like that being your title. It's a really great title. Yeah, do shepherds work with horses? I imagine them working with like
they work goats. Mainly with goats, but I'll have to tell you, if I had an alternate life in a past life, is I imagine myself as a shepherdess in Greece, like with my herd of goats. So
so when I was in Greece last year recording my record Luminary, I was obsessed with finding these goats. We were in this little mountain town. You could hear the echoes of the goat bells. And like 3 days in a row, I would hike around. I would go on like these 6-mile run hikes, like following the noise, and never found a goat until the 4th day. And I'd like turn this like corner around a cliff, and there were these goats everywhere. And the shepherd was there, and he said, I was jogging, and he said, slow down. And they were all over the road. And I was like, can I walk through? And he kind of shepherded me through the goats. And then on the other side, I don't know if it was his wife, there was a shepherdess there. And I was like, this is a thing. I was like, very excited. So anytime I hear anything about shepherding, I'm immediately transported there.
You actually have some experience with being a shepherdess. So
being on the recipient end of being shepherded. Yeah. I love that. So, okay. So, our first marching order is that everyone's going to go follow you on Instagram and interact with you there, and click on the link, and wherever that sends people into to consume all of your things and get to know you over on Instagram. I love that. So what's next? You've released music this year. You said there was some video stuff that you did as well.
Yeah. So this year I decided, when you are on a strict budget, sometimes that's the good side of that is that you learn how to do a whole bunch of stuff. And so this year I was like, okay, I can't afford to hire out a video. I'm going to learn how to make one. And turned out to be super fun, and actually another way that I can express myself. And so I discovered that I actually really love to combine my visual artist self with my music. And then I think it actually brings my music more alive. People can receive it better when they have like a visual element to it. So that was a great discovery this year out of necessity. So my hope is that I can create some more music videos. And so in my Instagram bio link, there is a link to my first video, which I'm super proud about. And
I'm excited to go watch this. And of course, if you're a visual person, of course, Instagram makes sense as a platform that really resonates with you, and to be able to show that, and also videos and things like that. So what a cool discovery that you have this visual thing, and what a great marriage of the two skills and the learning of the two, and how they support your own self-expression. It's really, and I also don't want to glaze over one of the like key words that you didn't say that you implied here, that it's kind of been a theme of these 12 days of Amplify interviews, is that you were sort of like, all right, let's pivot. Let's, got the budget, can't do this with that, but we can do this. And there was such a can do attitude to sort of look at, okay, that's the way I want to go. What's another way to get to here? And then this whole discovery coming out of that it's really cool. And it's just the way you worded it. And it just sounds so positive instead of like, oh, I can't afford anything. I can't afford, like, we just hear this like lack conversation so often in a lot of independent musician communities. And I don't hear like an ounce of that with you. You're just like,
I've been working on it, just so you know, I've been working on it. But I was inspired, like I was in, speaking of the Mediterranean, I was in France. My dad lives over there. And I was in a little town, and it was where, is it Matisse? Is it Matisse? I think it was Matisse. I'm probably getting which one wrong, but one of those great Impressionist painters had run out of money, had no money whatsoever. And he was in this small town in Collioure, France. And he basically said, well, this is all I got left, right? So he had he only had something left, like 4 paints or 4 colors or something like that. And he said, well, I guess this was going to do. I'm just going to have to do this. And he created this body of work that turned out to be some of the most important parts of his work. And it was all done out of necessity of like, well, it wasn't like he stopped himself, said, well, I can't do it anymore, or I'm not going to do it, or whatever. He just said, I'm going to do it with what I got. And then something came out of that. So I was inspired by that too, of like, you know, other great artists have had tremendous constraint, and they have to figure it out, you know?
Yeah. I always love the idea that constraint and parameters is actually access to freedom. And same thing in relationships, like marriage. People are like, oh, now you're constrained, versus, yeah, now I don't worry about who the person is. My heart is not taking, like, my mind is not, the space that was taking up trying to find this person is now, like, in the commitment, I actually have freedom. And it's the same thing with like, okay, working for a film composer or commercial composer, when they're like, we want it to be a string quartet, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love parameters. If someone was like, write whatever you want, I would sit there and be like, but there's so many options. You get to narrow it down and then be creative within that. I personally thrive as an artist in that realm, and clearly Matisse did, and that's resonating for you too. So that's a really cool story, by the way. I love that. You only have 4 paints left. Cool. Some people would have quit. You just created an entire body of work based on that. I love that so much. Yeah. Oh, Wanda's saying that she loves that, and in the commitment is the freedom. Yeah, totally. Chat box is, it's going off. It's so awesome that you guys are engaging. Thank you. So, okay. So what's next? We've got videos. Are you doing more videos? Are we doing more music? What are you seeing for the next few months for yourself?
I am working on just kind of setting up my, I guess it would be my receiving space of how I receive my fans, you know, through the things I'm learning in Amplify, with like a email series and just like a little bit of merch, like a merchandise store. So it's just like kind of my welcome space. So this beginning of the year, I'd like to finish that. And then I'm going to start releasing the next song that I have. I have about 12 completed mastered songs, and my goal is to release them every 2 to 3 months. I'm like, the one I did this year was in July, so it's been 6 months, but I'm learning, and every time my goal is to get it, the whole process, like, more streamlined, that I'm better at it, I'm more confident at it. And so that at a certain point, like, releasing a song every 2 to 3 months is going to be very much my norm. That's my goal. So probably the next song will be sometime in the spring.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love the idea of a merch store for you, especially because you've got so much visual things to play with. I think that screams, put me on a mug and a sweatshirt and wall art and all the things.
Yeah, I have way too much fun in there.
What did you say?
I have way too much fun designing. I was designing t-shirts, and I designed like 3, and I was like, I want to do more. And I was like, no, you need to move on to the next stage, like next step.
I love it.
I want to design more t-shirts.
Oh my gosh. I love this. I've said this literally every call. I'm learning so much about individuals I didn't know. I mean, you're on all of our calls, which is such a joy, but now to know that there's this, I'm going to be looking out for the visual stuff. I mean, I can't draw a stick figure to save my life. So anyone that can like be talented musically and visually, I'm always very, very impressed by. So I'm excited to go follow you. Everyone that's listening, our marching orders are very clear. We're going to Instagram, Runaway Horse Music, and we are following and engaging and liking, and also clicking on the link in the bio to go see the new music video that you created out of necessity this year and finding this gem of a new skill. So exciting to see that manifest itself. And I'm excited to see what's next for you. Really got some cool stuff going on.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to share before we close up for the day?
No, that was it. I would love to someday be in Greece with you with some goats and music and have an album where we record goats.
Oh my God, we're making a goat album in Greece. That's what's happening. It's done. We said it. We put it out there. It's in the sky.
A goat choir.
A goat choir. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Oh my goodness. All right. So much to look forward to here. Mariana, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of Amplify. It is a pleasure to have you in my orbit. It really is
a privilege. Thank you.
Well, that's it for today's 12 Days of Amplify session. Thank you so much for listening. And if you are a musician and you're like, yes, I need to be part of this community, go to inthekey.co/amplify. I will see you there.